All right, so Matt, you think about that right now. Let's welcome back to and this is very important. And I don't know if I should ask you some things I need to talk to you about on or off the air. But let's welcome back to the program, Alex Morono. Alex, how are you?
Cool, good, man. It's good to be back on the show.
How's things? How's things in one of my favorite places, Houston?
Good. It's raining really bad right now.
Is it?
But we're here in the desert, so we're not going to deal with that.
Matt, should I ask Alex on the air? Because I don't want you to feel backed into this, but we need your help.
Sure, what's up?
Okay, so there was a tragedy that happened in the Houston area a couple years ago at Fort Hood. And there was a murder on the base. I don't know how familiar you are with this. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Matt, what was the young lady's name? Okay. Okay. Okay, so Matt trains the attorney for the family, and they reached out that her brother is having some issues, as we could all understand. And we wanted to help him and get him in a gym and get, just help him. And we wanted to ask you, and I shouldn't do it publicly, I should have done it privately, but, we've had you on before. I know what a cool, awesome guy you are.
Sure.
And I wanted to ask for your help. And your help to help this young man and whatever we can do to help him and his family.
Cool. What area?
Houston.
Oh, in Houston.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys know Houston's big.
Yeah.
If he's on the north side, by all means, he'll be able to come by. But man, Houston is a awesome hotbed for martial arts. There's a lot of really good gyms. And just if you guys can get me his area code, I could probably direct him in the right way.
I can get that, and we've already told him when I talk to you, I've talked to Eve Edwards as well.
Oh, cool.
I mean, he'll go to wherever somebody, because he needs, we all can understand.
Heck yeah. Martial arts is like a great, just like cathartic way to deal with, stress and emotion and really get that under control. So it's always a good thing.
Yeah. Listen, so Alex, we've never met. So I'm Jimmy, by the way, and it's a pleasure to meet you, pal.
Likewise.
Listen, I like to ask. You like to try and get inside the kind of mind of why, as an intelligent grown adult, you make the decision to open a cage door and have it locked behind you. So what was the kind of journey into you becoming a fighter? Why? Because lots of people ask me the same question, and you kind of go, especially now, here and doing what we do and how dangerous it is and the absolute killers that are in your division especially, what makes you do it?
Yeah, that's actually a pretty common question that I got. I was just having this conversation recently. It took me until maybe like my 20th, maybe more pro fight to understand why I was doing it. I had a really big fight that I unfortunately lost. I was a big favorite to win. It was just not a fun scenario. But I remember the day after the fight, I was like, why do I put myself through all of this? And there was no hesitation on understanding if I should continue or not. That was not an option. But if I could really boil it down to one primary objective, like why, and it was for the experience, for the emotional and physical experience, because there's really nothing else like it in life. And I was talking to one of my other coaches about some guys go in there, they fight not to lose, they fight for the paycheck. I fight because I enjoy it. And he was asking why, and I was like, well, I remember when I was an amateur, I had a championship fight. It was my last amateur fight, and I won. But in the back room, I was like, this is the last time I'm ever signing up for this. I was effectively terrified. But then I made the walk, I had the fight, I won the fight, I won all 5 rounds, and there was no real damage, and it was a lot of fun, and just that was the last time I ever had that hesitation. But I never had a direct reason why. Like the UFC at this point now, the money's really good. But some guys do it for respect, for a resume, whatever. But I do it strictly for the experience, the personal experience.
Love it.
What's the experience then like in a fight? What are you thinking? Are you thinking? Or are you just flowing and it's coming natural, or are you thinking?
Yeah, it's super deliberate, precise thought, because you can't take your mind off of the task, and it's just so fun. Being in the fight, you see your opponent. It's just it's such a weird place and time. It's it takes a long time to build up to the fight, and the fight feels like it's going on for a really long time, but then when it's all over, it feels like it was a flash. It's just really cool how the adrenaline plays, and in terms of the experience, all of the chemicals our brain produce to make it through these high stress scenarios. It really is something pretty cool to experience. And being close to my 40th fight, I've got a lot of practice kind of honing in on those skills. And one thing that Coach Safe had told me last time, I used to think there were 3 types of fighters. There were guys who got scared and quit. There were guys who didn't care and brawled. And there were like the tacticians like Volkanovski. And he told me I was wrong. He was like, guys, at your level, there's no quitters. So you got the two types, the guys who brawl and like go out on their shield and use getting caught as an excuse, or the guys, and it takes much more discipline to stick to a game plan, to work through adversity, and really just like use good technique and strategy to win a fight. And he was like, and that's what a real martial artist is. Because I used to be like, oh, go out there and brawl out of mind. I enjoy that. But like if you get caught, you're not controlling the aspects you can. So he's like, you better not effing go out there and brawl. Like I want to see good technical, tactical work. So ever since then, I really enjoyed that.
So how does it work with a game plan? Like I've had guests come on, or we'll come on, send me 10 questions you're going to ask. And I always say, how do I know what my second question is when I don't know how you're going to answer the first one? Same with a game plan. If you have a game plan and your opponent doesn't do whatever you need them to do your game plan, how does that affect the whole situation?
So it's cool, being, a vet. I flew across the world to Japan and fought a guy who was known for pressuring forward and grappling, and the whole fight he counter-struck backwards. So my whole game plan for my whole training camp wasn't useless, but it was a weird fight. I ended up losing a split decision that I thoroughly disagree with to this day, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, after that fight, I learned a super significant lesson. Do not put opponents on a pedestal, especially their skill set. So generally speaking, my game plans are less specific and more general, how to implement my strengths, how to avoid opponents' strengths if they show it. But it's way more self-focused than opponent-focused now. And that's for myself and all of my fighters. You can't control what your opponent's going to do. You can control what you do. So that's what I try to do, focus on.
So look, you're incredibly seasoned across lots of disciplines, and have been for many years. And you have had already, 40 fights.
Close to.
Okay, I haven't got the record here, but but what do you see yourself? You're an articulate guy. You speak very well. You're incredibly knowledgeable about the game. You fought at the highest level for so long. What do you see yourself doing after fighting? Do you allow yourself the moment of going, in 3 or 4 years, I want to hang up the gloves and I want to do this? Do you have a plan for something that you would like to do? Do you want to stay in the game? Do you have things business-wise you just kind of want to set yourself up with? What do you see yourself doing in a couple of years?
Yeah, thankfully. So as a hobby, I actually do cage-side commentary for Fury Fighting Championship, and they're on Fight Pass. So if something comes out of that, fantastic. But I actually run a very successful gym up in the Woodlands, which is north of Houston, Gracie Barra, the Woodlands. I've been there since I was a teenager. I own and run it now. We have a waiting list for kids to sign up. We have a 7,000 square foot gym. It's a big gym, 5,000 square feet mat space. One of the biggest, nicest gyms you'll see, and our mats are packed. So when I'm not training, I'm teaching, which I enjoy just as much. If I had to choose between one of the two, I would continue to teach because it's got better longevity. Yeah. And I genuinely enjoy it. And then coaching, I must understand the information. Fighting, I must understand how to apply the information. And then in doing the cage side commentary, I have to know how to explain the information to the layman, which is really nice. So I feel like all three aspects really give me a good understanding of the sport. And if there's anything I can talk about for a long time, it's martial arts. So it comes very naturally and easily to me. So I'll take that in a day.
Let me ask you this. You talked about the fight that you lost, you thought you won. A lot of fighters say that. Michelle Watterson, before her fight in the promo, said that she went to a judge or two and talked to the judge and asked him questions. I'm a judge in the state of Florida. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And she said that I wanted to ask, what is he looking for? Have you ever done that? I thought it was such an awesome...
Oh man, I do that more than you guys believe. So just last...
That's so smart.
Just last Sunday, there was a Fury Challenger Series, which is 10 amateur fights and 5 pro fights. And I had 2 of my amateurs. One of them's 5-0, one of them's 5-1. They're both fighting for belts soon. They're awesome. Both wrestlers with good striking, great jiu-jitsu. And then 1 pro. And we had won all 3 fights, but our first guy who fought, Joe Hendershot, Hendershot, he's the man. He had a guillotine in the second round. But in the first round, the striking's pretty aggressive on both ends. His opponent maybe threw more, but Joe takes him down and has 2 minutes of top control time. So I asked one of the judges, and they're like, hey, how'd you guys score the first round? They all 3 gave it to his opponent. And normally, going in between rounds, I'm not like, hey, we won that one easy. I told him we won that one easy. We all assumed we won it. We didn't even really have a conversation about it. So I always pick the judge's brains. We had a guy who got a 3rd round TKO win recently, and I talked to all the judges like, hey, how'd you guys score the first 2 rounds? And we would have won that decision anyway. But yeah, I talk to the refs and judges all the time. If I ever have a question or I don't understand something, I'll certainly ask them. And thankfully, in the Houston MMA scene, I've been in the mix for like 15 years, so I know a lot of these guys really well.
Right.
Yeah.
Arguably, one of the best judges in Texas is Jeff Rexroad, and we fought each other back in 2012. So like I know the guy well.
Yeah.
Joe Solis, he reffed one of my first pro fights ever, and he's still doing it now. Like the judges I know very well. I mean, it's just cool.
Well, and it's smart that fighters do that.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
Why wouldn't you?
I've never had anybody ask me, when I'm judging, not that that's a big deal, but when she said it, it's the first time I've heard a fighter say that. I'm sure plenty do, as you just said. But I think that's so smart because there's so many things judges are looking for. You want to know what they're looking for so that you can use that instead of maybe something else.
Yeah, I'm an information junkie too. Like we had some submission-only matches, and it was like these two young, like 10-year-old gray belt girls, and our girl was super active. Like the other girl pulled guard, refused to get on top, like went for like 2 really crappy arm bars. My girl was like hitting pass attempts and just pushing a pace, and we lost a decision. Like you can never argue or be mad at the judge or refs. That's just not tactically a smart choice. But I was like, hey guys, I appreciate the work. Why did we lose that match? Like, what are you guys looking for? And they explained to me exactly the moment they had given it to the girl. It was going for like a really bad armbar, but it was more submission attempts than my girl. She was just like on a passing rampage. And I was like, okay, so now I know the name of that game, and like one submission attempt beats anything, and we know that now. So now we just spam subs.
Before we run out of time, I don't want them mad at me, so let's talk for the next minute or so about Saturday, about your fight, your thoughts on Buckley.
Yeah, Buckley, he's a great martial artist. He's explosive, he's dangerous. I've watched most of his fights in his career, and when he dropped down to welterweight, I was sure we would get matched up, so it didn't come as a surprise. I'm definitely not taking anything lightly. I trained my freaking butt off for this fight, and I'm ready to go scrap on Saturday.
Listen, I mean, that's it. What are you looking forward to anything after the fight? Like, like, I'm always kind of, like, you meet some fighters, and day by day, most fighters get to a point where, especially in this specific business of MMA, most fighters keep themselves in good condition year round. You wait for the call, it's just better for your general health, all those kind of things. But do you allow yourself, Sunday to have that big juicy burger?
Hot fudge Sunday.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
What are you looking forward to?
So man, I always take a really early flight home on Sunday. I'm looking forward to going home,
Fair play.
which is one thing. But no, so it's cool in October. This weekend I have my fight. Next Sunday we have some submission-only matches, like my second in command, Jake Heffernan, as a black belt match. The week after that, my boy Jaden's fighting. The week after that, we have more sub-only matches, and that's the Islam Makhachev pay-per-view. So that's a fun fight weekend.
Yeah.
But I just want to go home. I'll probably eat some pizza, but maybe I don't really have that anymore.
Yeah.
I just done this for
You're
so
just
long.
always in condition.
Yeah,
I get
for
it.
the most part, yeah. I'd say
Awesome.
so.
Alex, thank you.
Hey, yeah,
Appreciate
cool.
your time.
Thank you
We're
guys
going to
so
get your
much.
address again.